Welcome to MSP Unplugged. I'm your host, Paco Lebron. Cut here and we'll start at the 15-second mark. Welcome to MSP Unplugged. I'm your host, Paco Lebron. This is the place to learn how to run your IT service business, whether you're a one-person shop, a nimble MSP, as they say, or leading a team for the journey. This is the place for you. Let me go ahead and talk about our favorite thing, and that is fast approaching. By the time of this recording is released, which should be on Tuesday, we are 8 days away from TechCon Unplugged. TechCon Unplugged will be in Woodbridge, New Jersey, September 7th through the 10th at the Delta Hotels Woodbridge. It is our annual gathering of IT business owners. Join like-minded of those business owners for a weekend packed of resources to help your IT business thrive. What does your ticket include? Well, I'm here to tell you that it's going to come with 25 plus educational sessions, 2 networking events, after hours entertainment, all the expo hall meals, refreshments, and happy hours, and automatic entrance into the generous show raffles and giveaway on Saturday night. Walk away with concrete action items to take your business to the next level. Join us at techconunplugged.com. And because we're only 8 days away, I'm going to give you a quick code that is TCU 100 to get $100 off your ticket. So join us before the 7th. We're about 8 days away. techconunplugged.com. All right, everyone, this will be a quick episode just because we are in the midst of TechCon Unplugged planning. As you can see, my fearless co-host is not here. He is all doing all the things that we need to get done for preparing for TechCon Unplugged. But I did want to give you a quick tip instead of a full-fledged tip. I have had this problem where I would lose a lot of the brackets, the mounting brackets for all of my Renactus switches and things of that nature. And unbeknownst to me, Snap One, get it together. I hope you're listening to this, is the ability to purchase brackets that have been lost. They don't have an ability for that. So what I've had to do is go from some troubleshooting and trial and error. I found a great set for the rack mounts that we need. So I will include that in the link below from Amazon. It's pretty universal. Fits Linksys, Netgear, a bunch of HP and other particular switches, and fits the Renactus switches as well. So I'll get that link over there. Not too bad. And it's always great to have a few sets in case, again, you run out of those brackets, or if they just happen to get up and walk away. So I'll have that in the show notes there as well. Now, we may be trying to figure out why this is the episode called Start With Why. And I kind of wanted to talk about really on some of the things that we've been suffering, or me personally have been suffering internally with ProdigyTeks, the MSP, and maybe for some of you that may be running into some issues. I think that we get to a point with our business that we may not be feeling, what's the best word to say? You may not be feeling you're getting the most out of what you're looking to do or experience with your MSP or your business. Meaning you're getting up, it feels like a job to you now. You're not making the enjoyment. You're not getting the greatest motivation and inspiration to really do what you want to do. And, there could be a couple things to that. It may be you're feeling burnt out and you just are not finding the love for what you do anymore. It may be frustrations with clients, and clients are just, the requests that you're getting are not really, getting to what you want, or they may be annoying you, and they may, where it didn't before, because obviously that's what we're here for. We're here to help. We're here to make sure that we can address any and all requests coming from our clients, no matter how, less technical savvy it may be versus to those that are. Maybe you have frustrations with your staff and really that you're just not feeling you're getting anywhere, or the same thing just keeps happening. Maybe there's some friction between you, maybe with a business partner, or just how you were helping to look and see how things were going. I have been there, and currently we were going through that as well. And so what I've decided to do was I have a philosophy that I like to go through, and it's always a phrase that I like to say that says, go back to basics. And I really kind of learned this by adopting a few things. But the one most importantly is really with a book by Simon Sinek that was introduced to me back in the IT Jetpack podcast when Jeff was hosting it with Corey Fruitman and Instant House Call. And there was a video that was played right before the podcast, and it was Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And he has, for those that don't know, Simon Sinek is an amazing author. I highly suggest his books. This was the first one that I was introduced to with Start With Why. And I'll kind of go into it a little bit. The current book I'm reading right now is Leaders Eat Last, which is a great book that I'm starting to learn more and more as I lead a team, as we say in the beginning of this episode, leading a team for the journey. And really what Start With Why talks about, it is available on Audible as well, is helping frame the conversations and really getting back to your business is going from what you do, and that's what you're focusing on is what you're doing, versus why do you do and how do you do it. So what we mean by that is you really got to take yourself back and think, all right, I started this business back in 2013. What did I have in my mind and why did I want to do this? Why was this something so important for me to be able to run and do this business? And really, it was really to go ahead and provide quality and superb IT support at the time to small businesses that either A, could not afford the IT support that a mid-market or a much higher managed service provider is offering in the downtown Chicago area, and B, having to be able to be accessible, because sometimes if they are either have to pay more to try and even get in the door, there are managed service providers that might not even take them on due to their size. And these are requirements and things of that nature. There's a great actually episode that I was listening to from No Fluff Marketing with Tahir Ahmed over at MSP Camp and George Bardisi over at VVoIP. And George shared a stat that I thought was really creative, not creative, but it was really interesting. And it basically said, the higher your minimum, so there are those of us that go through, say, oh, it's a minimum of 20 users, 30 users, 50 users, 100 users, that the more you go up in that chain, the smaller the percentage of you being able to get that market share because of how few they are percentage wise in where you're at. So what do I mean by that? That it's more likely to close a 10 or below user group than it is to find and close a 50 to 70 user group or business. And what does that mean? It means that there's more available in the pond, there's more available to be able to attract. And it really just spoke to me on how providing that support and what you're looking and prospecting shifts things in such a different way. Really goes back to what John Dubinsky used to tell me and say, when you're running a business that's standardized, you can always cut and repeat no matter what industry it is, while understanding and learning and being a great business advisor for that particular business. And especially if you're working in a particular niche, it works out for you even better. So that is something that why we wanted to go in business is to really focus on those businesses that may not be able to get qualified and quality IT support and now cybersecurity services, and really diving into how do we help them so we can mitigate their risk, but also, most importantly, to make them as defensible as possible so that they're not deemed negligent to their end user. Now, for me, really trying to figure out and my thought process and, well, how do I get there? How do I really start to try and get back to why? How do I frame my mind? How do I go from there? And so, you got to kind of think, you got to think about back in the day, how did you do things? Why did you want to do? And start writing it out. I think it's really being able to just writing is such forget the word to really say, but really to help you put those ideas from your mind onto something else. This was another lesson I learned from my mentor, David Nelson, where if you ever are bombarded and you have so many thoughts and you feel like you're going to forget and you're stressed, write it down, because now you're giving your mind the permission to let it go, because there's another storage device that is holding what you thought to do. This is why people love task lists. This is why people love putting things on calendars, things of that nature. So, when I say this on how to start with why, that may be great, but you may still feel this dragged out, this ability that you just can't really shake. So I always often like to say is it's also a good time to get a refresher. And I'm not talking about taking a vacation, although it's good if you need that for your peace of mind and for to free up your mind space. If you've been, going in, dog out, and you just really are getting yourself burnt out and you just need a break, that is a perfect way to be able to get away, take a trip, drive out somewhere, you know, smell the fresh roses, being able to get away is such a great piece for that. But but other than, obviously freeing your mind space, what I mean is attending an actual IT or technical event in person. I'm not talking about webinars, although webinars are great. Attend something in person. There are so many local events that happen throughout, and there's so many events in the year that you can attend that will be perfect for you to just kind of reinvigorate yourself, really get into it. I cannot tell you how many times that I benefit from doing this and coming back motivated to make changes. And I'm not talking about just the thought-provoking conversations. I'm talking about engaging in the hallway, talking at those tables. Hey, I'm so and so from here. I think we're gotten to a point in our industry that we are now starting to become more collaborative than we are combative. And I think that's a huge piece to really understand that this is what everyone is trying to do. So engage, talk. Hey, how you doing? What are you doing over there? Don't be afraid to ask the questions because you are learning. And again, there may be something that will just trigger that will allow you to really focus and go on to those maybe specific things, items that were bothering you and really benefiting you and moving forward and helping you move forward from that piece or that spot that you were in. Let's say, for example, you're an introvert. You don't like talking to people. You don't know anybody, and you don't want to really mingle like that. And you're not built that way. Find someone. Find someone that can go with you. That's a local thing. And if you don't have anyone, that's the whole point of our community group. So if you are a member, if you've purchased a TechCon Unplugged ticket, or you've been invited by someone else, or you can always support us through the Patreon page. We will invite you into the online community group that we have hosted on Facebook. And again, that is a great resource for anyone that is going to a local event. Heck, you could even reach out to me. If you are somewhere in the Midwest or in Chicago and you're going to a local event, I know other than our own, we're going to ASCII Chicago, September 20th and 21st. If you happen to be going, drop me a line. Let's get together. Let's shoot the stuff and just really pick brains and understand a little bit more on what you got going on. I cannot tell you how important this is and how this has really drove a lot of the pieces for me, just me as a business to succeed and really being able to be blessed to have people like John Dubinsky, Juan Fernandez, and others to pick their brain, take their time from their experiences and understand a little bit more of what we can do in all avenues of our business, whether that is sales, marketing, operations, efficiencies, even down to managing employees or staff or contractors. All of this can be a contributing factor on why you're trying to still do this and how do you move forward and getting that next step forward and really understanding, hey, I want to be remotivated. I want to be reinvigorated. How do I get there? And again, it's starting back with that why. Now, once you go through that and you go to an event, my big piece about all this is you can be motivated, but you may not be disciplined to actually do something about it. So you really want to start putting a plan together. Okay. Now there's one thing you can journal. I use, this is the one that I use a lot. I know my audio just went out right there, but I use the Freedom Journal. I've used quite a few of these over the years, and it helps me get the SWOT planning and really figuring out my goals for the next 100 days and figuring out how to get from that marathon mindset and doing the mini sprints to get where I need to go. I'm pretty sure you could pick this up on Amazon or just journaling your days and figuring out how you can get some SWOT analysis, basically your strengths, weaknesses, what are your actionable items, things of that nature. We do have an episode from last year. Tune into it. It'll give you a lot of great feedback on how to kind of handle a lot of that as well. You can go into things like revisit, or I'm pretty sure a lot of you haven't created a business plan. And I know a lot of people poo-poo on the business plan, but I will tell you, I created a business plan back in 2011 for the business when it was unofficial. And I will tell you, it helped me understand and diving into, all right, who's the market share? Who am I trying to get to? Who am I trying to attack? Who am I trying to service? What am I trying to do? What are my goals? And it really helped shape my mind of, hey, this is what I plan to do. And here's the measurable things that I can do to be able to go to my SMART goals. Super great, super helpful. Really just either, again, revisit or create a business plan. Now, you may be saying, well, Paco, I don't know what the heck, how to even create a business plan, let alone I had one way back when. I don't remember how I did this. Go through it, and the process of going through one opens up the ideas of how you want to address your business, right? And so, how do you go through that? Visiting places like score.org if you're in the US. Great resource. They will help you with not only just previously retired mentors that can help you through that, or you can look for templates and resources online. There are a lot of great places like the Tech Tribe and other places to really help you on structuring and understanding how you want to gain and move forward with your business, and really helping from there as well. I had a great conversation with a good friend of mine and the industry, and he suggested liveplan.com as something that can be an automated online version if you don't want to use a paper and pen. You want to do something digital to really help yourself plan yourself, figure out what you want to do. And again, really just writing down those structures, because again, when you go back and starting with why, it really helps you just really put those things in perspective and ultimately help you get back to where you were from previously, finding the joy and being able to really focus and get back to what you love doing the most. But again, getting back to basics does a world of good, in my opinion, to really understand what you have that's either semi-broken, or is there a chance that this whole thing just needs to be redone? I think that we get stuck sometimes where we're really trying to piece things together, and we just get so frustrated that why isn't something working? And I can tell you, I went through this issue back in 2019 where I was 3 months away from giving up, and really to the point where I said, you know what? I'm going back to corporate America after being about a year and 8 months, or I'm sorry, 9 months of doing this after an accident, really trying to figure it all out and just stepping up to say, okay, got about 3 months. Let's just go all in 90 days and figure out what, my next plan of action needs to be. And I made 3 simple changes that just did so much good and just pushed us in a trajectory that allowed us to move forward with the growth of the business and to move forward. And sometimes you got to return back to get to that point so you can reassess and figure it out. So again, when you go back and you may be just not feeling anymore, figure out what your why is, start from the basics, be around like-minded people, attend an in-person event if you can, really just start journaling, putting down on paper, and just starting a big plan to figure out, all right, this is what I really want to do, and get that excitement back for what you want to move forward from there. Because I can tell you, sometimes what we think is truly broken is really not broken at all. It's just a few changes that need to be done. Or you can identify that there's something that really needs to change and the whole thing just needs to be redone. So that's going to be the quick episode that I'll have for you all from there. There will not be a podcast next week because we will be prepping, and we will be at TechCon next week on the 7th. But again, after that, tune in every Tuesday and Thursday. Watch the video podcast on youtube.com/MSP Unplugged. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and you'll be notified whenever a new episode is available. You can also take us on the go with your favorite podcatcher app. We're on Amazon Music, Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts. Once again, thank you for listening to this episode. We will be back on our regularly scheduled program the following week with some great content, with some great guests, and most importantly, it's going to be a great time. Thank you, everyone, and have a great one, and we see you next time on MSP Unplugged.